what are the conditions of Hajj to be obligatory? There are many conditions, but these are, as usual, the same with other rituals. One, being a Muslim. So if you're not a Muslim, you can't pray, you can't give zakat, you can't fast Ramadan. It would not be accepted. You have to have the prerequisite for any of these forms of worship, which is the shahada, the testimony that there is no God worthy of being worshipped except Allah, and that Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam is his servant and messenger. Number two, being of sound mind. So if someone who's insane makes Hajj, that would not be accepted. Number three, being an adult, which means that if someone is beyond the age of puberty and he wants to perform Hajj, that is accepted and he's rewarded, but that does not exempt him from another Hajj when he reaches the age of puberty. Why? Because the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, the pen of accountability has been lifted from three: from someone who's asleep until he wakes up, from someone who is below the age of puberty, a child, until he reaches or she reaches the age of puberty, and someone who's insane until he regains his sanity and consciousness. And as stated, the Prophet also said in an authentic hadith, alayhi salatu wasalam, any child who does Hajj, then reaches puberty, must do Hajj again. Because yes, though he is rewarded for it, and the parents who took him to Hajj or to Umrah are rewarded for that, but it would not be sufficient. The fourth condition is that a person has to be free. And what do we mean by being free? That he's not a slave. Because slavery is something that is mentioned in the Qur'an and in the Sunnah, and it is one of the things that results from wars with the non-Muslims. So the prisoners of war are slaves who live among us in our homes. They serve us so that they can see the beauty of Islam, and in many expiations for sins and wrongdoings, the first thing that comes on top is free a slave. So this is not the time to explain why slavery exists, but it is in Islam, as it is in all other religions, as it was there in thousands of years. So a slave cannot offer Hajj because his time and his life belongs to his master. However, the most authentic opinion is if a slave was permitted to perform Hajj, then his Hajj would be valid, insha'Allah. And the fifth condition is to be able. And ability has a number of forms. So the first ability is the physical ability. And if a person is physically unable to go, someone who is in a wheelchair, someone who has a disability physically that prevents him from being able to travel and to undergo all what's happening in these 5 days, he's exempted. And the evidence is when this Khathamiyah woman came to the Prophet ﷺ, stating that my father is an old man who cannot sit on his ride. So what is to be done? The Prophet said, you perform Hajj on his behalf. So if a person is unable to reach there because of his physical disability, then he's exempted. The other form of ability is the financial. Sometimes we are physically fit, but we don't have the cash, the means to pay for the ticket or to pay for the fees or to stay in Mecca for this long time, in this case, we are unable to perform Hajj and we are exempted. And a third condition is of ability is for a woman. A woman might be physically fit, might be financially capable, but she doesn't have a male mahram, a male relative who could accompany her, such as a husband, father, brother, maternal or paternal uncle, or nephews, or stepsons, or stepfathers. So such a woman is also exempted from going to Hajj because of this reason. And the Prophet has clearly indicated that it is not permissible for a woman who believes in Allah and the Day of Judgment to travel without the companionship of a male mahram. And when he said this, alayhi salatu wasalam, a man stood up and said, "O Prophet of Allah, my wife went for Hajj and I was drafted to go and fight in jihad." The Prophet said to him, alayhi salatu wasalam, "Go and do Hajj with your wife." He didn't ask him, is she young or old? Is she beautiful or ugly? Is she alone or with the companionship of other women? He simply said to him, leave what you were doing and go and accompany your wife so that she wouldn't be traveling without a mahram. And Allah knows best.